Wow, a lot to talk about, guys, today in pro wrestling and just everything to touch base on. And I'm here with the Trendsetter,
It's kind of
Brian.
an understatement, isn't it? A lot to talk about right now. It's that crazy season, man.
A lot to discuss, man. I mean, just stuff keeps breaking, and there's just so much to discuss. So we'll try to fit this in for you guys in a condensed way. But I'm Jeff Martin. We're the Jersey Wrecking Crew, and we are on Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee. We got your full gear preview as well.
And I'm the trendsetter too. Thank you so much for that, Jeff. That
You
lovely
Trendsetter,
introduction.
man. You got to forget about that, man. You're the first and foremost. You're the first person that I always introduce. So you were given a nice little introduction there, but like I said, it's a lot of stuff to discuss. So
The
we're going
red
to try to
flag.
get as much info for you guys today. But follow us on Give Us a Shot Network on the YouTube channel. Follow them on their Instagram at Give Us a Shot, as well as High Spot Podcast at High Spot Podcast on our Instagram, as well as our own YouTube. You can follow us there as well, and on Twitter at High Spot Podcast, on Threads as well. So, guys, again, lots to discuss with you. So let's start out first, Trendsetter. And listen, if we don't get to a lot of stuff, listen, we promise we'll during the whole week we'll touch base on other things too. But
Yeah.
we full gear talking about that as we head into this weekend, this Saturday in LA. So we'll give you that rundown. But this past Monday, it was very interesting as they're also heading into Survivor Series, which is next week. So we got wrestling galore for you guys here. So on Give Us a Shot Network. So let's talk about Drew McIntyre joining. I'm not going to say joining. I know that's what it's going to say. He's joining the Judgment Day, but aligning himself with the Judgment Day for now. And we all saw it. We saw it on Monday night, that lasting image that everyone's talking about. I mean, if this is not a power couple, I don't know what is. Rhea Ripley and Drew McIntyre. It's like a match made in heaven, Trendsetter. But the fact that Drew McIntyre is going heel now, and that's the direction that he's going to, I, for once, and we talked about it a long time, this is where he should have always been. That sword gimmick, the kilt, it was good for Clash at the Castle when he was going up against Roman Reigns in his hometown. But now it kind of, he didn't finish the story, I guess. But now this is where we all expected him and wanted him to go into this heel character. And I think it's something that I'm looking forward to. How about you?
Oh, without a doubt. We've been talking about it countless times. We've even mentioned it in past episodes too, a while back ago, that this style of Drew just it didn't fit. Similar like when I talked to you before about how Seth Rollins is a babyface back then. It just didn't work. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel authentic is the word everyone likes to use, right? Now this version of Seth Rollins everybody loves. I like the way that Drew McIntyre, he never changed really who he was. A little, he started kind of all the jokes were aside. He was all about being serious, and he wanted his moment that he lost. They talked about the story of him, winning the championship during the pandemic in an empty arena, and him wanting his moment and feeling that it was not to be, and he wanted his opportunity and to kill all that stuff and really be more of a straight shooter. A lot of times you felt Drew McIntyre was saying things for the sake of being funny, or it felt scripted. Now it really feels like Drew's talking from the heart, and to have that type of a badass guy that we wanted, that I always wanted to see Drew during his time in NXT coming up to the main roster. I thought we are going to get the psychotic psychopath is what they called him, right? When he first came up, not the Celtic warrior or anything like that. No sword, like you said, no kilt, this version of him. And it was a slow, methodical way. But again, he's doing now what's best for him, which I love. And I can't wait to see how it is. And I'll never forget that tweet that he put out there. Daddy's home. So now you got mommy, Jeff, and you got daddy, part of the family for the Judgment Day.
And you think that it's leading to Drew joining them in some way, because it's only a 4-on-4 matchup at War Games this coming Saturday, actually next week, actually. And you think that some way that, of course, Team Cody and Team Seth is going to find a way to get somebody else involved. Now, a lot of people think it's Randy Orton. A lot of people are going to say it's CM Punk. We'll get to that in 1 second. But as far as I'm concerned, though, that image of Drew and Rhea using her way about herself to convince Drew to finally seeing the light, I would say it wasn't working for Drew. I think it started when we saw that video package put together before Crown Jewel leading up to the Seth Rollins match, that when Drew came up short once again, you could tell that that he was changing. You can tell that he was evolving into this character that you see before you right now. And to see that image, though, man, what a power couple, though, those two can wheel and deal. I mean, obviously, Dom's got to be worried, I think, but I don't know if he's joined.
Let's
But
look
at
at that
least
image again, man. Look at that.
let it sink in, man. That image, is what we really want to see. People can't get enough of it. I mean, I think I posted on Instagram a picture like that. It's getting a lot of hits, a lot of people commenting on it.
Wait,
You know,
wait, why should Dom be worried though? He's finally getting a daddy he can be proud of, right?
true, true. But again, though, like again, Dom should be worried, I think, but aligning himself more because we don't know what Drew's motives are yet. But I do think he will be inserted into this match coming up at Survivor Series, a 5-on-5, the traditional War Games. But again, though, we mentioned Randy Orton and the possibility that he's going to show up. That's Chicago's going to go nuts if that's the case. We're expecting him to come back eventually. It's imminent, right? From what everyone's saying.
Yeah.
But what if it was still the belief and that feeling from those CM Punk faithful? I'm going to say the CM Punk people that drink the Kool-Aid still, that believe that WWE has this huge surprise planned, and all their denials, everything that they're talking about, is just a way to swerve, no pun intended, the audience by making their dreams come true. A CM Punk return home in Chicago, and he could possibly be that fifth man. What about these rumors that continue to persist? They don't go away, Trendsetter, as much as you want to get rid of it. And CM Punk has done a tremendous job this last week trolling the fans, posting about War Games, playing the theme song in the background in one of his IG posts, talking about the devil, which there is a mystery to who the devil is at Full Gear, who's attacking Max's friends, MJF's friends. Great for CM Punk, who continues to troll the fans. But there's that belief, though, that he is still going to appear. I don't think to that very last second, as much as WWE can deny it and say they're not interested, fans really believe that CM Punk is going to show up next Saturday. And I don't want you to be the bearer of bad news, but dispel why that's so far-fetched and not going to happen.
Well, first of all, Jeff, I never dispelled it saying it's not going to happen. I said it wasn't good for business. It doesn't make any sense from not a business standpoint. Of course, if you bring CM Punk in Chicago, you know that's money. You know that's gold. And you would think also too. I mean, the way to fully promote it, I mean, it'd be a great surprise, but kind of start putting those inklings. And we've had not only on social media but during shows, Raw, SmackDowns, mentionings of things similar to what CM Punk says.
Nakamura
And
promos, dude, right? I mean, come on.
yeah,
I mean, evident right there that they're not trying to hint at CM Punk, but they are. I mean, those are the indirect promos that I get the info that, hey, CM Punk is in play.
yeah, my biggest thing, Jeff, was the fact that I just didn't think it made sense business in terms of long term wise. If you're going to bring him around this time, which to me, people want to say the Royal Rumble is the start of WrestleMania season. I think Survivor Series is the beginning tail of that because you start getting that excitement. You feel the inevitable end of where this is all leading to, which is WrestleMania in Philly, right? So I felt from a long term standpoint, that makes sense. If it was more for this time to WrestleMania and what happens afterwards, no problem. Because again, more eyes on the product and people are going to want to see this, especially with this whole supposed war going back and forth between AEW and WWE, right? But getting back to the main point here about CM Punk, I think it's a work. I think they're all playing to the collective feeling of everyone wanting to see him in there, and what a great ovation, what a great return it would be if both sides are willing to make a compromise. And CM Punk, as well as the WWE, is willing to be professional about this and really see this more in terms of the money. It would make sense when you look at it because now if CM Punk comes in, what has CM Punk always wanted, even prior to when he left? He wants a main event spot at WrestleMania. Well,
Oh, and
great
there's
WrestleMania.
two events now. There's
Yeah,
2 nights to do so.
so great now the WrestleMania is 2 nights, right? So now CM Punk, you can get your moment unless CM Punk really wants to be a cruel. Be like, no, it's always been Sunday. The back and forth in the past when CM Punk was part of Fox Sports Show and then Seth Rollins going back and forth, it just makes sense for him to come out and be in a situation or programs with Seth Rollins. But again, that's way down in the future if it does happen. Do I think it's happen? I have to say now it's more 50-50. I didn't really want to believe it. I wanted to dispel it. The rumors were like they didn't come to an agreement, blah, blah, blah. Great. Go with their separate ways. But CM Punk's playing that little, playing the crowd. So is WWE. Generally, when something like that happens, nothing happens. But in this scenario, you couldn't pick the perfect time. If you ever wanted to bring back CM Punk, which,
And
my feelings toward it, it's now, Jeff.
And here's the thing, though. I do think that there's been contact between them two, and I think
Yeah.
they're really keeping this really close to the vest. But the fact that WWE, when they get rid of you, they don't put you on the WWEshop.com, right? They don't put you on videos. They try to take you out. They try to act as you've never existed in the company when you leave, which is normal, right? Because why are they going to promote you?
Remember, that was the old regime with Vince. He
Exactly.
purposely did
But
that.
now you see videos of him doing commentary in a Wade Barrett match. Now you see in the UK that his merch is being sold. You see the indirect Easter eggs that Triple H has been known to do, as he's done with Bray Wyatt. He loves doing these Easter eggs. So that is why I think that there's more of a chance that we see him. Now, listen, Survivor Series is sold out. This is kind of like a by some odd chance that this whole happened, that Survivor Series in Chicago and this whole CM Punk getting released happened, all kind of coincides at the same time. I think it's just a huge coincidence. And I think that, man, would it be great? See, I always thought it'd be great that if he doesn't join the match, because you want to advertise that for the next show, that he somehow comes out and confronts Seth Rollins, right? That we kind of get that stare down face to face, and then you just leave it at that, because the crowd's going to go nuts. And then we wait till Monday Night Raw, and maybe CM Punk says, "I'm back." But that's just wishful thinking. I think we'll see it eventually, but it's just too soon. And it's just such a coincidence that's in Chicago that there's going to be a huge buzz, right?
You say it's
But will
too
they
soon.
work together?
Isn't it the right time though? Right now, if anything's the hottest time of the year for pro wrestling or sports entertainment would be now. So why not
Oh,
bring?
WrestleMania week, the road to it, right?
Yeah,
You know how now people are trying to shove it down our throats in October. I think now Survivor Series is kind of in that road. Listen, I'm so excited about WrestleMania coming here. I'll take Survivor Series as my Christmas in October, right? As we're leading into Christmas, which is WrestleMania, right? For us wrestling fans. So
yeah.
I think too. Here's the reason. I think that we could see a Royal Rumble. I think the only reason is WWE has Chicago sold out. They've had to take out their original way that they're going to set up the stage. They've had to change it because they had to have more seats. So you're going to get a very small entrance. It's going to kind of look like the Madison Square Garden back in the 2000s, right? They had a little small entranceway. It's going to look like that. It's sold out, 16,000 plus.
Yeah.
It would be great. It would be icing on the cake. But for WWE, who does good business, are they going to want to waste a CM Punk return in Chicago, where it's been beaten to death, yes, by AEW, but here you can, if you need to sell out Tampa, you have that CM Punk card that you can use and keep teasing it.
Well,
Although
let me ask you this real quick, Jeff. Let me ask you. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you there, but let me ask you this real quick, right? If we don't see CM Punk physically there, but we see a sign or you hear the
oh yeah,
music
oh
screech, is
yes.
that more indication that okay, leading towards Royal, we're probably going to get that?
So listen to this. Triple H loves Easter eggs, and I think a huge Easter egg will be somehow, some way they will make a CM Punk reference. It'll be more clear at Survivor Series. I think Triple H will give you a huge Easter egg come next Saturday at Survivor Series. I think that's when you will see momentum gain, because that's what he wants. He wants people talking. People, Survivor Series is already sold out. If you get more of a clarification that, hey, CM Punk is going to show up, I think that's enough for Chicago fans to go nuts. I think WWE is good at giving you a little bit, but not giving you way too much. I think in this Triple H era, that's what they're doing. They're giving you just a little bit and not giving you the whole thing. I think that's one of Triple H's best qualities that he can do. You
Which is
saw the
so
Bray
funny
Wyatt.
because in the past era, we never got any of that. You didn't get anything.
No, you got no clarification. You got no hinting. I think that Triple H is has done a lot of great stuff, but those Easter eggs, I think he's become a master at it, and I think you're going to get a huge Easter egg at least in Chicago, hinting or making more references to CM Punk. Remember, it's not what we think. It's not Seth Rollins. It could be leading to Nakamura, because Nakamura is not booked, right? He's just leading on. So I think that we could see a huge Easter egg at Survivor Series. That's what I'm going to say. And I think that, yes, eventually down the road, CM Punk will be in WWE. So again, so much to discuss, man. All these names popping up. It's great time to discuss about this stuff, man. You can catch us here on the Give Us a Shot Network, and you can talk about it. Join the convo. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this. Is CM Punk going to be at Survivor Series? And of course, we'll have our post show after Survivor Series. We're going to do something for Full Gear. I don't know if we'll do an IG Live or something like that, but we'll definitely have some kind of
Definitely
reaction
do something. Yeah.
after Full Gear Trendsetter. But now let's talk about Full Gear. That's why we're here. Full Gear is in full effect this Saturday at the LA Forum in Inglewood. We've been there. We've seen that area. Of course, you got SoFi Stadium is along the way there. They got the Clippers' new stadium they're building across the way. So they're really developing that area. And I heard, hey, it's former home of the Lakers, right? The Showtime Lakers. So obviously, it's a very historic site. And Full Gear is invading Los Angeles this weekend. And I got to say, though, the main thing about this, is it a $50 pay-per-view? Is it something that you're going to be glued to your seat for the matches or for the possible names that Tony Khan is possibly going to drop of a big signing? What to you are you looking forward to the most, the matches or this big name that Tony Khan has teased?
Well, I think when you were comparing the two, Jeff, and one thing that's evident about it is you even said it yourself when we were talking about the rumors of CM Punk, right? WWE is doing, especially in this new era with Triple H, a great job of throwing Easter eggs at you, giving you small little tidbits where I'll be honest, and we'll talk about Survivor Series when we break it down the match per match, right? But I gotta be honest, I'm not really looking forward so much in terms of the Survivor Series match or War Games per se. I'm kind of looking for the outcome, the fallout, or what could possibly be returns or signs of things happening that will go lead into Royal Rumble and obviously towards the
Here's,
start of the
are you looking
season.
for? Are you,
For AEW, though, I'm more looking forward to the matches because that's what they're promoting more than anything. They've been rumors about this signing that AEW is going to have, but I got to be honest with you, from a fan standpoint, I'm not really looking forward more to that. I'm looking forward to these matches that are going to be happening.
I've been let down the last few announcements by Tony Khan, because some of these announcements that he's made has why maybe he thinks they're important just don't come off as major announcements. I mean, he talked about early access to All In tickets, which go on sale a little bit earlier for fans in December. That's
Mhm.
an announcement that you can just put a presser and put on social media, right? It's not really a huge announcement. So I think a lot of fans have been kind of let down a little bit the last couple of announcements by Tony Khan. And so I think here now, are you going to get let down? So, yes, there is one match in particular that I'm looking forward to, and that's the Swerve and Hangman Page match, which I think could be the show stealer. But I'm going to be honestly, Tony Khan knows that honestly, this is going to be, make or break as far as announcements. He's got to provide a huge name. It's non WWE guys, because I believe that the 90-day compete doesn't expire till December 20th. So I think it's going to be a name, but just who exactly and how big of a name is it going to be? I don't think Tony Khan can let the people down anymore with these announcements. I think it's going to be a big name. So we're going to get to that exactly. Who has Tony Khan signed now? We're going to get to that in just a little bit, because I think this is going to be the placement in the show before the main event too. So we're going to
If
get
you
this
call
in
it a
later
teaser,
on.
let's find out exactly.
Exactly what's going to lead into. That's how I would book it, right? I'm not a booker, but it makes common sense. Let's put that towards the end of the show so that we can be psyched for this, and we'll talk
Yeah.
about the names about who might be involved in this, or who it will be. But let's start off, Trendsetter.
But it all starts off with 0 hour, Jeff. That's what it all starts off with.
Starts off with 0 Hour and MJF and a mystery partner against the Gun Club for the ROH World Tag Team Championships. And the way it's leading to, with Adam Cole hurt supposedly, and the Acclaimed out of action, there's only one dude that could probably fill that spot, and that's Samoa Joe. So Samoa Joe, if you insert him into this, and I believe it's going to be Samoa Joe, we'll probably find out in a collision when it goes down. He's going to have to eventually owe him a future World Championship match, which could be at World's End next month. If that happens, do you see them losing the ROH titles, or do you think that they'll keep the titles? I think that if you're going to build to that match, it would add more intrigue if they kept those titles and eventually see their demise somewhere down the road before World's End.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the standpoint where Samoa Joe vacated the television title and basically said
Man, yeah.
it said he wanted to go after now the AEW World Championship. What better way to play more mind games with MJF than to be a surprise partner, retain the titles, and so now you're forced to put MJF now in a situation where for the most part, I mean, even the scenario of Jay White, right, which we'll talk about in his match further down this card, he's always been in control. Now it seems like things are kind of chaotic, and now more than ever, to have somebody who is literally somebody who wants to take you out be alongside you and then waiting for when's it going to happen? When's the moment going to be? That's intriguing. And yeah, that would be something that nobody would expect. Obviously, you're bringing it up too. So you've been thinking about this too. That's an interesting part of the ploy of the storyline where it's like, yeah, he wants you, but he wants to take you out, but you'll never know what's going to happen. What better way to have somebody than somebody behind your back, watching your back to only just turn on you? So that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think though that they'll retain the titles here. I think that
Yeah.
while they've been a good, while I think been good adversaries. I think that the main focus here would be to MJF to retain it with whoever it is. We think it's going to be Samoa Joe. All signs point to that. So I am not a fan though of them oversaturating MJF by having him wrestle, defending the ROH tag team titles. Oh, and then later on that night, I mean, it's very heroic, right? As he's the face, he's got to wrestle twice. I just don't think oversaturating MJF by having him defend two titles on that same night. I don't know if it's a good thing all the time. So that's another,
It's
another
probably a
issue.
new character, new element they're trying to show for the mere fact that prior to this, MJF would brag about how he doesn't need to wrestle every single night,
Yeah.
every event, every time he performs. It's a luxury, kind of similar to Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns in terms of they don't fight and defend all the time. And now they're doing the exact opposite, in which they're trying to switch him into this babyface role, which there is some resistance there. I feel because although MJF can pull off anything right now, it really feels right now there's some contradiction there, which we see in the character. So to have him wrestle this often, this frequently, obviously he has to agree to want to do that, of course. But it's again showing another a layer where we know he can do it all, the flips, the move sets, and all that stuff too. Now in terms of consistency, he probably could wrestle every single night. He could probably wrestle 2 matches, 3 matches, but they're showing this other layer, I guess, of MJF, which we haven't seen before.
So moving on now to the main card, which is crazy to have your champion at a 0 hour, right? That's another thing too, the placement of this. So, but 0 hour is where MJF will defend it. I guess it gives you a little bit more time to rest up for the main event, which obviously is going to go on last. You have the TBS Championship on the line in the trios match. They call it trios. They don't call it triple threat, right? It's going to be Chris Statlander defending her TBS Women's Championship against Julia Hart, who's been obviously someone to keep an eye on the last few months in AEW, someone who could be a maybe a breakout star for the company against my personal favorite, Sky Blue, who Sky Blue successfully beat Red Velvet, so she is now in that matchup. So listen, a lot of people thinking that Chris Statlander, although she beat Jade Cargill, has that title. Julia Hart right now is on a breakout pace. She should win. Sky Blue, ever since she had the mist, sprayed in her face, has been different. But Chris Statlander here, I think, needs to, maintain her run. So I think that Chris Statlander is going to walk away the champion. But I think you can make a case where out of all these three, that Julia Hart would be deserving just because of her run so far. I mean, she's improved on the mic. She's improved in just her mannerisms in the ring. So I could see them make the switch there. But at the end of the day, I think Chris Statlander retains her championship. And I
Hey,
love
I
Scott.
agree with you, but I got to have to agree with you on this one. I mean, because if not, what made sense of beating Jade Cargill if it wasn't for a more lengthy title reign? And that's not to say too that in situations like that, sometimes you hope for it to give someone momentum to further their career, to further establish them. She's a crowd favorite. People like her. She's kind of an OG in the sense of she was here in the beginning when AEW started. So to see
No,
her succeed now, it's great. But there have been times where it hasn't worked. In this
no,
scenario, I can't say it's going to work or it's not because I just haven't seen enough. She's not a dominant champion because she has going through her struggles, but overcoming them is obviously winning her over even more with the crowd. So I would have to agree. I don't think the title reign ends now. With Julia Hart, yeah, you're seeing something there too because, from the past 3 years, 4 years, we haven't really seen much of her. So it's great for her. But ultimately, it's great for the women's division because that women's division, since the very beginning, we've talked about it before countless times, and a lot of people have done it as well too. Just doesn't have a lot of depth to it. So, having a secondary title is great, but you have to build more stars and create more storylines within them to, support that division. And so right now, it's great we're talking about it, but right now I don't think it's the end of Crit Statlander's reign right now. I think it's still too early, and she needs to go through more and obviously help bring up a lot more women to be potential threats that after the TBS title is a goal, you move on to the women's title. So
did I mention I'm a huge Sky Blue fan? I mean, my head goes with Chris Statlander, my heart, and probably almost my entire
the
body
rest
goes
of it
with
goes
Sky
to Sky Blue. Yeah.
Blue. Yeah, I mean, just wow. What can I say about Sky Blue?
Let's say she's easy on the eyes, Jeff. Let's say it that way.
Easy on the eyes. Let's go, Trendsetter, to the other women's championship, the AEW Women's Championship. And somebody, too, that's also kind of reinvented themselves, and somebody who I think could obviously, maybe there could be a title change here, and that is timeless Tony Storm challenging Hikaru Shida. We know I love Shida, right? She's the current women's champion. But I gotta talk to you about this, man. This is around conflicted because Hikaru Shida, of course, the pandemic women's champion. We were in the pandemic. Obviously, she had a run, but then as soon as Saraya came in, and as soon as the other women, Britt Baker came along, they kind of cast Hikaru Shida to the side, and now she's back and she's gaining momentum to take the title away from her. Somebody that's also gaining momentum here. I don't know, man. I don't know what's fair. I don't know what's the deal here. But I give credit to timeless to Tony Storm, man, because she kind of was in a little rut, kind of sputtering a little bit. And then out of nowhere, out of the blue, she's reinvented herself into this timeless character. And it's been a hit. It's just been something that it's not being done. Being stuck in this 1950s character here. I'm impressed by it, and I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to go that timeless Tony Storm becomes the new AEW champion. It just makes sense to me, and I don't want to be unfair to Hikaru Shida, but I think it's Tony time.
Man, I hate the fact that we're agreeing so quickly on this one. It's not fun. I don't like agreeing with you, but it does make sense to me just because, kudos goes out to Tony Storm, showing this other layer of her character, which we never knew she had. And we thought it was more of just what you see is what you get from her. And this whole timeless thing is kind of taking a life of its own, and the crowd's loving it. It's going with it. She's fully committed to it. So you can definitely appreciate that commitment to what she's doing. And it's just taking off. I mean, I would probably compare this if I had to, similar to the Seth Rollins character. He was kind of going through stages where he was the architect, then he was the Messiah, and then you get this version of Seth Rollins, and it just works, right? You can't really define what it is, but it just works. Similar for Tony Storm right now, and I hate to say this, guy. I have so much tremendous respect for Shida as well, but unfortunately, I think her career right now in AEW, as much as she has done a great job being the bearer of the flag of the women's division as the champion. I know they tried to make Britt Baker that face, and then Thunder Rosa, and we all knew what happened there. But unfortunately, I think that she does more of a transitional champion, and that's unfortunate to say, but I think she's a transitional champion right now, where right now all the momentum's there. And what I've seen from AEW, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that, with anything in pro wrestling, right? You look at, for example, LA Knight, you look at Cody, you look at all these people, Sami Zayn, right? You think, let's go with the momentum. Everybody wants that to happen. You don't see that often in WWE, but I think in AEW, that's kind of the thing. As soon as the momentum goes for one particular person or persons, they want to go that route. So I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to go and put it on Tony Storm and see how further she can carry this division.
Now, this is the match, Trendsetter, that I think is going to steal the show. I've really talked to you beforehand, before we came on. I told you this kind of reminds me of a rivalry in WCW that I was a huge fan of, just because, man, it didn't need the title for anything. The stakes are already big enough. And the Texas Death Match being the stakes, and something so personal. And you've seen a revitalization of Hangman Page, because let's be honest, man, Swerve spit some facts a month ago, and the last time they talked about, they had this amazing match, and now we're going to get part 2, and that's Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. And this is personal. The man invaded his house, and Hangman Page just really was on fire with that promo on Wednesday Night Dynamite on Swerve. They couldn't touch each other. Eventually Hangman followed Swerve to a PW Revolver show, and they got physical there. Hangman Page kind of seems revitalized. It's good to see, though, because something's off with Hangman recently, right? He hasn't been the same. And this is with CM Punk no longer in the fold. We know, obviously, this is somebody that could have maybe brought Hangman down, and maybe he had lost his confidence a little bit, but gaining that momentum, man. And Swerve, again, is another breakout star that has done tremendous. It's 1-0 Swerve. And I think this is not the last time we're going to see them two together. This has got Macho Man, Randy Savage, Diamond Dallas Page vibes, bro. And, there's my Vince Russo reference. I think Hangman Page I think he's going to get the victory over here, and we're going to get a third one.
Yeah, third one. Who knows? Maybe not even a third one. I think a lot of people always like to think that you do it 3 times, the rubber match, and it's all over. I mean, this has a lot of layers to it, which I can't say a lot of times you've looked at, or at least I've looked at storylines based or trying to be made in AEW, where it's more of just a dream match or dream situation, or you and I talk about, hey, is this a one off? We're gonna get maybe 2 or 3 out of this, but it's more of just wanting to see your favorite person win the match. This is taking a whole level where it's more personal. It's more that, of course, we saw just put Adam Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland on a card, and you think it's going to be a great match just because the two are both great, amazing athletes. But now there's investment here. It's personal. It's more than just winning a match.
Storyline, bro.
It's
Story.
a story, Vince. Yes, thanks, Russo. It's need more beard there. But it's literally you're getting there. It's literally that. It's the investment of the story of are you on Swerve side? Are you on Hangman side? But neither one are pulling back. And that's the thing. You don't have to get super personal. You don't have to start saying actually to me, as they say, it's cheap heat, right? But they're going full out on this, and all the gloves are off, and so that's great, and that's what's invested in. And I would agree. It's a show stealer in that sense too, because it's a lot of things that people are looking forward to that doesn't have a title, doesn't have a weird stipulation. It's just two guys that don't like each other.
Each other's
This is
ass.
why they're fighting, and you know what, guys, enjoy it because it's gonna be great.
Who you got?
Got Adam in this one. It's got to tie it up, man.
Green too much here, Trendsetter, but I like it. I like it. I like it. We're thinking about this. All right, Trendsetter. You got the tag team match. The Golden Jets, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, Le Champion. It's got so many nicknames. We'll probably take up the whole show against the Young Bucks. The winner here, obviously, Young Bucks is either this matchup or they were going to be booked for the show, which is what they said on their Twitter. So, if the Golden Jets beat the Young Bucks, they will get the Young Bucks title shot that they've earned. And if not, if Jericho and Kenny Omega lose, then it's it for that team. I sounded like Brian Alvarez there. I'm like watching too
We've been
much.
watching a lot of pro wrestling.
Server. A little pauses.
You sound like Vince Russo, Brian Alvarez, and now you're.
I
What are we gonna get next? Jeff Conrad? We're gonna get Conrad next.
Well,
Is this a rib?
Yeah, this is who booked this shit. But this matchup here, and listen, the Young Bucks have short-term memory because obviously they teamed up with Jericho on the cruise, but technically it doesn't happen because it happened on international waters.
Yeah, so it never happened. It didn't exist.
But listen, I just think it's too early for the Golden Jets to break up. I think a lot of people want to see the Young Bucks have been in this situation before, and here's the issue: the Young Bucks have been doing this so much for so long, it's kind of maybe gotten a little stale for a little bit. I see a lot. I see this is the early signs, and when the fans got kind of sick and tired of Cody's act in AEW, and I kind of see this maybe not yet to the extent of Cody, but I see the fans are like, all right, we've seen the Bucks vie for the tag team titles. They're the trios champions, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Hey, now what? I think that the Young Bucks are in a crossroads right now. I think, again, no pun intended. I think right now, I don't know if they've peaked. So I find it hard to believe that this is going to be the end of the Golden Jets. And I think that we're going to get Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega beating the Young Bucks and taking those tag team title opportunities away from the Bucks, man. I don't you feel like the Young Bucks have gotten a little bit stale?
I think they've just accomplished. I mean, I wouldn't compare this similar to Cody. You know why? Because in the Cody situation, people were just tired of the shtick where he was this nice guy, and it was just all it seemed like a farce. Like he was the VP, obviously, booked himself out of the World Championship after he lost to Chris Jericho, and tried to establish the TBS title. Sorry, the TNT title, not the TBS title. I'm sorry. And it just didn't work, and fans were starting to kind of resent that. Though, hey, listen, Cody, you're not being straight with us here. We want something different. I think with the Young Bucks, it's similar to what you said too. It's like I think they've just overstayed their welcome, and then that's the thing too, where it's amazing they sign extensions too, right? And
You're
you're
not
like,
going to give up the position. You know what I mean? You got a nice little
yeah,
ride.
it's always your position, but at the same time, they've accomplished everything they can as a tag team. They've helped establish that division very well, which there is some depth behind that tag team division. To me, it's one of the most exciting divisions to watch when I'm watching AEW. I'd rather watch tag team wrestling than to watch other things about it because I'm just invested in I love the psychology and the skill of it. But when you look at the Young Bucks too, it just sometimes you've just done everything. and you've done everything to the point, like, what's left and what's next? And like, we've seen him as heels, we've seen him as babyface. The Elite has returned, right? And here's a scenario, right? When the Elite came back,
Tough,
you're
right?
like, okay, we're gonna see them a lot now. Adam's kind of done his own thing now, and Kenny now working with Jericho. Who thought we would see that? And who knows? We're still waiting for a third match, or that rubber match between those two, which should come down the line as well. I agree. I don't think it's the last of the Golden Jets, but in this scenario too, there are things to say, Jeff, sometimes when it becomes too predictable. So I'm gonna, as much as I feel it's not the end of the Golden Jets, I got a feeling that there's going to be something more here in terms of the breakup of the Elite. Officially, finally, the breakup of the Elite, where they're friends, but they're not going to be friends anymore, and they're all going to go their separate ways. So I'm going for the Young Bucks here. I think the Young Bucks are going to go get the win. Granted, they don't need another title reign per se, but it's going to lead to something more because we're not going to see the last of the Golden Jets. I can't believe I'm saying that name. And the Young Bucks here too. And again, it's another scenario too where Jericho and Kenny are really kind of trying to figure things out where their direction is in AEW. So what better way than pit those two together?
And I love Chris Jericho, but man, he's reinvents himself like once every week. One time he's taking on the Don Callis family, then he's getting back together with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Then next thing he's running wearing suits with Ibushi, Paul White, Kenny Omega, and
Hey,
it's
keeps you on your toes, man. You never know. You never know
just
what version of Jericho you're gonna get
I
from week
get
to
it,
week.
and I think he's smart as hell, probably the smartest of all time. But all these reinventions, I'm just having a hard time keeping up who he's fighting with now. You know what I mean? It just goes back and forth. But I got Kenny and
Great selling merch.
it is. Let's go to the international title match. AEW, the workhorse of AEW, Orange Cassidy, who's had tons of title defenses. Now he's got to prove a point. He's got to prove to the world that John Moxley victory. He's got to prove that he's got to beat John Moxley. John Moxley, of course, never lost that title. He had the concussion, and we're glad that he's okay and he's back. And now he's vying for that championship of Orange Cassidy. And listen, does Orange Cassidy get the victory here? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to have shocked the world here. I'm going to say Orange Cassidy retains this championship against John Moxley. And I think that it's going to be a big win for Orange Cassidy. I think he's got, does it hurt John Moxley? No. Does he need the international championship? This is a guy who's on New Japan TV saying there's so many freaking titles out there right now. So, he does he really need the Sheboygan World Undisputed International Continental Championship right now?
Of
No, the man
course.
doesn't need it. Maybe
Talking about, of course he needs it.
you think he needs this title to prove a point? I don't think so. I got Orange Cassidy coming out victorious. The OG.
No, I didn't say he needs the title. I said he needs this win. Just because, listen, if the only person that's ever going to defeat John Moxley is John Moxley, just because he doesn't know when to quit, doesn't know when to stop. Very admirable of him, but also the mere fact is he's running himself to the ground just by doing things that are, that I or you, I'm not going to speak for you, but I deem unnecessary in terms of, you don't need to do all that all the time. There is try to be longevity in his career. You just don't know how much longer John Moxley can keep going at this pace. At this point, you think it's just instinct. How much can that body last? But again, so is Darby Allin. So again, what am I? Who am I to say? They define the laws of physics, I guess, in the body or health, whatever the case might be. In terms of this, I don't think John Moxley needs the title, but I think to reestablish the fact that it's not really more about John Moxley winning, but it's more of showcasing, as much as they're trying to push Orange Cassidy, that we've seen all these versions of Orange, right? But this could be similar to, dare I say, go back to a scenario which, hey, listen, they're fans of ECW, right? And for the people who don't know what I'm talking about, there's two groups of guys, two guys by the name of Raven and Tommy Dreamer. And they beat the hell out of each other, but Tommy could never get the win. Can never beat that one hurdle he's always wanted to overcome. And so far, Orange Cassidy's been great at overcoming all these hurdles, all these preconceived notions of him, right? But John Moxley's that one thing that just won't go. He just can't do it. And the scenario, I don't think he'll do it again. It's going to be more of the scenario of Orange still can't get it, and John Moxley being that guy that, hey, you're not gonna gain my respect until you beat me. So maybe also even similar. I'll go back to Jeff, a storyline we had in AEW of John Moxley not being able to defeat Bryan Danielson, and it meaning so much for him in the scenario where he finally did it. But I don't think it's going to happen here. I think John Moxley proves once again why he never lost the title, and Orange Cassidy might be a champion, but in many people's minds, he's not the real champion. So I've got John Moxley winning this one. Does he
This
get off, does he walk off on his own 2 feet? No, I'm not going to go that far. He'd probably be carried off in a stretcher, John Moxley, but he will win this match.
this to me is a make or break announcement for Tony Khan. He's had a lot of announcements that have kind of fizzled, have not come to fruition. He's gotten criticized for it. So this is make or break for Tony as far as major announcements. Who has Tony Khan signed now? It's somebody that's well respected. It's somebody that's well respected. It's somebody that AEW fans are going to appreciate and they're going to enjoy the signing. So who could it be? A lot of people think that it's Sami Callihan, which they made a great point about. Sami Callihan is a free agent. He was backstage he's a couple of times already, and now in AEW he's a free agent. A lot of people are now talking about the ex-WWE guys. Unless somebody, knows something, these guys are not available till December 20th. So eventually guys like Dolph Ziggler will make their way to AEW. It's been reported that, he's on his way. So, but that's not going to be the guy. They even talked about Ronda Rousey could be somebody that's on their radar, which, you know what, it could happen. But I honestly think that at the end of the day, and our boy Andrew Zarian reported this on his show on the Matman podcast, that it's going to be Will Ospreay. This is a guy who's not a free agent till February. He's hired a big-time agent in Barry Bloom. It makes sense. He's wrestling for AEW. He can still wrestle in New Japan. But is he willing to just not listen to WWE's offer because they've shown interest and just sign right away with AEW? That's the guy that they're saying. Would you be surprised if it's anyone but Will Ospreay?
No, not at all, because all signs are leaning towards that too. And again, it goes back to my point. You never want to make things too predictable, but who else is going to be? Somebody who's been a star, who's wrestled for AEW before too, and has had significant success, as I don't stutter over my own words here, with AEW too. Huge mega star in the entire wrestling world from what he's done in New Japan. But for me, it's got to be him. It makes no other sense it be anybody else in terms of the people you just mentioned too. And in this scenario too, it's like, yes, Will Ospreay would be a major star, but do I find it surprising that he hasn't listened to if the rumors are true, if he hasn't listened? I'm sure he has spoken with WWE, but it's not far fetched nowadays, Jeff, to think that people are willing to reject WWE for whatever reason, or just sometimes the schedule or just benefits them per se. And you look at guys like Kenny, the Young Bucks, Adam Hangman Page. I'm sure their contracts were coming up. Hell, they were working without contracts supposedly, right? I'm sure WWE was pushing offers to them, but they want to stick with what's comfortable with them. They want to stay with AEW, right? So I see Will Ospreay being in that scenario too. And, talk about our boy Andrew Zarian. We had our boy Chris Van Vliet also talk to Will Ospreay, and he was pretty adamant too that, he'll listen, but he doesn't really have too much enthusiasm to go there unless, I guess, the price is right. And I don't want to quote the $1 Million Man here. You think everybody has a price too, but for some people, it's not about the money. It's more about where can I achieve them a more substantial career in terms of another audience, and also just at this stage right now, Will Ospreay's in the prime of his career, so maybe he just wants to settle something that he's more comfortable with, that environment, as opposed to going to WWE. As we know, even though it's through a new regime with Triple H, it's still the same type of machine that maybe he doesn't want to do, doesn't want to make that commitment.
Listen, Triple H said it best. It takes a certain kind of cat that wants to go to the WWE. You got to know the work schedule. You got to know what it takes to invest in it, right? It works for Jade Cargill. It's what Cody Rhodes wanted to do. He wanted to go back. Some people just don't want to do that. And I respect the decision of Will Ospreay. I'm just a little curious that if it is Will, why wait, or why not wait a little bit to maybe get the bidding war up a little bit more? Or maybe he just knows for the longest time that, he'd go to Impact Wrestling and talk about, how much I want to be in the TNA ring, and actually mean it, right? And say, hey, I want to be here and wrestle in a TNA ring next year. And I want to do these things and still have that indie mindset and still want to be able to do all these shows. Hey, if that's what you want to do, then so be it. And if it's Will Ospreay, then it's going to be a major announcement, because this is a guy who's a Wrestler of the Year type quality guy. This is a guy to me that could be, if not is, the Wrestler of the Year for 2014. And so that's a huge coup for AEW, man. It's a huge coup for them if it is Will Ospreay. We'll have to wait and see if that is, but that's what it's leading to, Will Ospreay signing with AEW, and it could happen this Saturday at Full Gear. All right, Trendsetter, that's Tony's signee, who we're going to go with. It's a major announcement and good for AEW if that's what happens. The trios match, another one that we get. And I don't know about you, but every time I see Edge or Copeland, Adam Copeland on AEW TV, it just feels weird. It still has not sunk in that he is not part of the WWE. I have to come to the terms with it. I have to grasp it now. We're going to get a trios match: Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting against Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. Now, obviously, the inner workings in the story here is all about Christian and Adam Copeland, how eventually they will work together and team up, and everything will be great and hunky dory. But right now, there's a conflict here. I think that this has all the makings of Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting coming out victorious. You're not going to have Edge or Adam Copeland lose his first, big time match here at a pay per view in this trios matchup. So I'm going to go with Team Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting coming out victorious. Although I got to tell you, I just want to say props to Christian Cage for doing such a tremendous job. He's been one of the highlights of AEW. Love what he's doing, and mad respect to him. I got Edge. Edge again. I can't stop saying it. I got Adam Copeland his team winning here.
I don't. I have a Christian Cage team winning here. They've just done such a great job, and again, I'm not here to give any more praise to Christian than the area he gets right now in terms of what he's done. He's proven again similar to. I'm sure he doesn't want to compare himself to anybody else, but let's say a Chris Jericho just reinventing himself and doing something different from what we've seen. I can't say when he first came into AEW it was such a success or people were really for, because it got stale pretty quickly. And now in terms of insulting deceased fathers, if that gets you over, Christian Cage, then kudos to you, my friend, if it gets you over. But hey, it's worked. I mean, it gets a reaction from the crowd, and so I can't hate on the man in terms of the fact that that's working for him. I just think right now there's just so much momentum going for that stable, or not necessarily stable with Luchasaurus and his other protege, but it's more just Christian has so much momentum going for him right now. I just don't think you don't always get that feel good story. I think it'll happen, but I don't think it'll happen at Full Gear. We got Christian and his team coming out victorious.
Tag team titles on the line, Trendsetter in a, I guess you're going to call it a fatal four-way match here. You got FTR. You've got the tag team champions and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. You've got La Facción de Ingobernables, which I speak Spanish and I butcher that word so much, Ingobernables. And then you've got House of Black, Brody King, and Malachi Black. I almost said Alistair, but I caught myself. So again, just to me, this kind of feels to me a lot of guys in the back. Let's put everybody on the card. And I think that Ricky Starks and Big Bill could win, but they love FTR. I'm going to say FTR titles. No surprise here.
I would agree with you there. I just think the fact that, this whole scenario too, and they haven't really given much to them. It's like, what more can you say? I mean, these trios matches and stuff like that, it gets to the point too where we talked about the women's division where there's not much depth trying to build it. Right now you have a tag team division and you have the all these tag team titles, which is great. I love it, but it's hard to keep track. And the only way to have everybody on the same card, and it feels like that way right now, Jeff, as we're getting into this right now, it just seems like they're really trying to fit everybody on this card. And hey, great, it's gonna be a great match, but my goodness, okay, let's go for FTR and what?
Less is more sometimes. Less is more sometimes. I like WWE's way where they're putting 5 or 6 matches now. There's another thing too that if we were watching this at a movie theater, we'd be like, "Oh my god, this is going past 12 o'clock. This is going past."
I'd be sleeping in those recliners. There's no doubt about that, Jeff.
It's going past midnight. But again, though, I got FTR coming out victorious, and it's going to be another reason for Ricky Starks is counting down the days whenever his contract's over. He can't wait to join Cody
or The Rock, one of the two. Okay.
Who do you have?
I've got FTR in this one too.
All right, agree on that one too.
And now just like their music.
And now we've got these arcade music, little kind of like Tetrisy feel.
It's an yes.
Now we go with the man of the hour, the man that obviously is the face of AEW, a man who I think is staying there, by the way. MJF defending his title against Jay White. And
overrated Jay White.
I have just like I said, no way Roman Reigns was losing to LA Knight. Let me just make this point.
Okay.
And let me be very, very PG here. There is no effing way that MJF is losing to Jay White. Not yet. Not by a long shot. There is no, trust me, Jay White got the pin on Dynamite, right? There is no effing way that MJF loses. That's it. Point clear. That's it. There's nothing to analyze. There's nothing to dissect. Jay White, yes, he's talented. Yes, the Gun Club. Yes, Bullet Club Gold has been good. There's no way MJF is losing. That's my analysis, and I'm sticking to it. That's it.
So you say if you're wrong, you're going to retire?
I
Is this similar to the Diamondbacks making it to the World Series?
mark this down.
Okay.
And Brian, you can write about this. I will retire.
Oh, my God.
MJF. This show will be over. Sorry, give us a shot. It lasted shorter than I thought.
I'm going to have to find a new co-host.
I will retire if MJF does not defend successfully that championship. Book it. I will retire.
Well, I'll be looking for a new co-host pretty soon. I got to start putting out the resume out there for people and get the applications. But I got, like I said, I got MJF winning this one. I wouldn't risk my career for it. So kudos to you, Jeff. I guess I will. It'd be nice knowing you.
We'll see. We'll see if it backfires on me. If not, I'll be biting my fingernails if Jay White.
We'll be running the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be behind the scenes, right? I'll work behind the scenes on the show. Maybe get you your coffee or something like that. All right, Trendsetter. Will the devil appear? Will that person identify themselves at Full Gear?
Dramatic pause. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think it's time yet. I think
they don't have to be.
Hmm?
Yeah, they don't have to.
Yeah, they don't have to. I don't think we're gonna get the reveal of the devil by then. Why? Do you think that's gonna happen?
I'm leaning towards not. I mean, I don't think it needs that payoff. I think maybe on a Dynamite or something like that, you can prolong it a little bit if you're gonna, cause into more question. Who could it be? I just don't see how the devil would make their way.
Adding that on to AEW programming though. Are they continually pushing that though? You've seen more AEW than I have right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's something that could it be resolved. Could it be resolved that night? Sure, but I think that it's better to prolong it, man. I think that I have an idea who I would like it to be, but I don't think it's going to be Tony Khan, right? I don't think it would be something like that, just because Eric Bischoff was aligned himself to the NWO, and of course Vince McMahon was a higher power. It'd be cool to see somehow Tony Khan like, hey, screw you.
It was me.
Exactly.
It was me all along. As his voice cracks as he's yelling to people.
That would be cool, but do they need to give us the reveal at Full Gear? I don't think so, man. I think it's good to prolong this thing and add more curiosity to who it's going to be. All right, Trendsetter. Got a new segment on the show called "The Buy the Numbers," and for all you gambling junkies out there that actually gamble on pro wrestling, real quick, I just want to run down for you just a couple of stats here in Trendsetter. You tell me what piques your interest real quick as we're running down. So, Buy the Numbers, presented by Give Us a Shot Network and High Spot Podcast and Fast Break Coffee. Let's go out of here. All right, Trendsetter. 2 major title changes they're saying are possible. And we're talking about Moxley and Orange Cassidy, and also in the women's title match between Timeless Toni Storm and
Sheeta.
Thank you. Got my tongue tied there. So John Moxley is minus 200. Toni Storm is minus 250. And the biggest long shot is, of course, our boy Jay White. He is plus 1,000, an underdog to beat MJF. That's what I'm telling you, man. Book this. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of money if you choose MJF, but still, this is a solid lock that MJF walks out. The betting odds are saying that MJF is walking out. He's at minus 5,000. And a lot of other matches, too. You got Sting and Darby and Adam Copeland as heavy favorites. They're minus 2,000. You've got Starks, Big Bill at minus 250. Hangman Page at minus 400 for being the favorites to win. So I think Vegas, the betting lines are kind of agreeing with us, or we're agreeing with them. But here, we talked about the biggest favorite. What is the clear-cut match that you think, hey, this hands down, no-brainer, that's who's going to win?
MJF.
Exactly, right? And Vegas says the same thing. So by the numbers, there you go. If you're a betting person, are you going to go and bet on Jay White? I don't know, man. I just don't see how you could. But again, MJF is the heavy favorite here, too. He walks in at minus 5,000. For you guys that are getting into the gambling, just real quick, the minus means the favorite. The plus means the underdog, actually. So there you go.
Does MJF walk out with the title? That's a different thing.
You could get that. Oh, see, here's where I'm not gonna look. I think he's walking away with the title.
Yeah. No, he's walking as the champion, leaves as the champion, but he's walk out with the title. That's the question.
There you go. I don't know. I listen. I'm spending my career
I'm
on a
sure
lot.
there are betting odds on that too on Ed Vegas too.
Oh, they got prop bets to get everything. But
Yeah,
we like
exactly.
folks who want to get we want to get you gambling junkies who actually are going to bet on wrestling on a show like this. We're going to start this every pay per view too, every premium live event by the numbers, and to close it, Trendsetter. By the numbers, I want to talk about the number here, 5, which is my favorite number. I know you're a fan of a number 9, but my number I want to talk about is the number 5 Trendsetter, and that is 5 title defenses by the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. A lot of people are just bent out of shape that only Roman Reigns has 5 title defenses in the year of 2023. Now, it's been discussed and it's been heavily rumored, and basically it's kind of confirmed that Roman Reigns will not defend the title anytime soon, at least till 2024 at the Royal Rumble. Which honestly, Trendsetter, I have honestly no anger towards it whatsoever, Trendsetter. Why? Because simple. He's a special attraction. He is above and beyond the man in WWE. Now, if MMA people can do it, if boxers box no more than 3 or 4 times a year, even the top MMA guys 3 or 4 times a year. So 5 title defenses now, Roman Reigns has spread himself thin. And if you don't see him all the time on SmackDown, don't you miss him even more? I don't see what the big gripe is about a guy like Roman Reigns defending his championship only 5 times. You guys got to get out of that old school mentality. It's different. It's not, you're not going to see Bret Hart a fighting champion. Yes, will you see it on an AEW? Yes, because these guys are trying to establish themselves. But a guy like MGF, it's kind of losing that feel because you see him all the time defending either a meaningless Ring of Honor or World Tag Team titles, and you see him the same night defending the AEW World Championship. He is not oversaturated. Less is more. This is where it's a positive. So, in an aspect where you're trying to make pro wrestling, sports entertainment on that same level of boxing and MMA, then it's okay for your champion to be defend that title 4 or 5 times. It's not the 70s. It's not the 80s. It's not even the 90s. You're not going to get that fighting champion anymore, at least on the heavyweight division, at least on the major championship. Listen, a guy like MGF down the road in 5-10 years, he's not going to do the same thing either. A special attraction in this, it's a once in a generation talent. The Hogans wish they could do this. The San Martinos wish they could do this, but it's just a different time and era. And I think that Roman Reigns, the less is more. And I think it makes it more meaningful for these defenses. So the number 5, I'm okay with the number 5 when it comes to Roman Reigns. And to be honest, you should too. There is no reason to get bent out of shape that Roman Reigns has only defended that title 5 times.
Well, to kind of put a button on it in a few seconds here is the mere fact that, yeah, I mean, it's understandable people are going to be upset about it. The traditionalists are going to be like, oh, you need a fighting champion. I think Seth Rollins is trying to do that with the world title. When you look at a guy like Roman Reigns, similar to Brock Lesnar, Andre Giant, a Hogan, a Bruno Sammartino, these legends and these legendary careers they're making out of it. We live in a day and age, too, where everybody's always out for instant gratification all the time. You don't always need it. In Roman's case, I think it's for that purpose, but also I think it's for a purpose of a different reason. The mere fact that in a scenario like this, because there's so many, let's say, possible people in terms of like who's next. Roman Reigns has pretty much gone through the roster, and so you're running out of people for him. So a way to keep extending this is to obviously have him defend the title less, to have him be on TV less. Not only does it protect you in terms of running out of ideas, because before it was just a continuous, rolling door of people coming in and challenging him, and then losing in him this historic streak that he has right now. It's the scenario now where it's protecting him as well. And like you said, it makes the heart grow fonder because, you don't see him all the time. And then when you do see him, it's for something important. So it works both fold there. It's more for his protection, but also to keep things going, to keep you interested. Because if you saw it every week, you'd be bored of it.
Obviously, and I totally agree with you, Trendsetter. Less is more. And in this case, when you have a special attraction like Roman Reigns, less is more. And the heart grows fonder the next time you see him. And Next time we see him will probably be in 2024. But a lot to discuss. Trendsetter heading into WrestleMania season. Obviously we're talking about Survivor Series next week. We'll preview that as well. But this has been your Full Gear preview. Again, we are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast here on the Give Us a Shot Network. Follow us on our IG at High Spot Podcast. Looking forward to this Saturday, Full Gear, 8 p.m. from the LA Forum in Inglewood, the Kia Forum. And we'll have a post show some way or somehow, probably IG Live, but you'll hear from us on Saturday. But looking forward to a great night of pro wrestling. Looking forward to that MJF pulling through and saving my ass and my job. And Trendsetter, you can close this as only you can.
Well, Jeff, get ready to go to the unemployment line. Hopefully not for you, but guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Full Gear Preview here on Give Us a Shot. For us, myself, the Trendsetter, for my friend, the Scoundrel, who maybe he is one to last couple shows down the road. Hopefully not, Jeff.
I ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere. We are the Jersey Rank Crew. We thank you guys so much for the love and support. It's shared right back at you guys because we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
How do you like your coffee, by the way?